In chapter 2958, Serenity continues to unravel the mystery of Mrs. Lamb, with discussions leading her and Mrs. Stone into deeper speculation. The chapter opens with Serenity recalling a significant detail. Jane's adopted son, Titus, shares the surname Lamb, sparking a new line of inquiry. This connection brings to mind a powerful but elusive figure who had recently surfaced in Wilspoon. Despite his brief appearance, he left a strong impression, and his identity remained unknown, stirring curiosity and concern. Serenity hypothesizes that this mysterious figure could be orchestrating events from behind the scenes, possibly using individuals in Wilspoon as pawns for a larger scheme. However, Mrs. Stone is skeptical. She suggests that any significant power play would likely be directed towards Annenberg, a more strategic location for such maneuvers, rather than Wilspoon. Further, if Pythos were the target, actions would have already been taken, especially given the protection provided by a formidable Dr. Carden and her network. As they ponder these possibilities, Mrs. Stone advises Serenity not to overthink the situation. She suggests that if Mrs. Lab were a person of interest, time would reveal her true nature, especially if they continued to interact. Mrs. Stone reassures Serenity to stay cautious, particularly in her condition, emphasizing the importance of safety for herself and her unborn child. The conversation shifts to a practical approach. If Mrs. Lab is to be understood, building a rapport and observing her over time could be the best strategy. Mrs. Stone suggests that Cameron, who is familiar with Carrie, could potentially identify any discrepancies or unusual behavior, despite her ongoing recovery from vision impairment. This line of thought highlights the value of close observation and the role of intuition in discerning truth from deception. The chapter takes a lighter turn with Sony, who interrupts the discussion with his innocent request for food. His childlike honesty and concern for hygiene bring a moment of warmth and normalcy to the otherwise tense atmosphere. Mrs. Stone, doting as ever, provides snacks, reinforcing the familial bonds and the nurturing environment in which Sony is being raised. Serenity's reflections on the deliciousness of the snacks, credited to Elisa's good taste, bring the chapter to a close on a lighter note. This moment of appreciation for simple pleasures contrasts with the earlier tension, highlighting the duality of their lives, balancing the ordinary with the extraordinary concerns of security and identity.